Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Kurt Leavins. Welcome, Kurt.
Hey, David, we go in a month's time from wanting to fire everybody to first place in the Pacific.
You mean Oiler fans in general? Do we want to fire everybody? I don't know.
Not us, so Oiler fans in general, yeah.
Although
get rid of the coach, get rid of the general manager, trade everybody.
Knoblock had been fired, I wouldn't have, I would have shrugged, at one point, I wouldn't have.
Well, it would have been monumentally stupid, and I think I went on record as saying that. But
you are definitely on Team Knoblock, and it's great. It's great that under pressure here. Under real pressure, Chris Knoblock is doing some pretty good coaching.
Yeah. But if you think about it, his entire NHL career has been under pressure.
I guess they all are, all the coaches.
Right. But I mean,
really
think of it, right?
Him,
those two long playoff runs, he understands pressure now, especially coaching in Edmonton, like the fishbowl that it is. I mean, yeah.
You'd have to think that if for some reason he was looking for work, after this summer, and it's not, it's a possibility if the Oilers were to go out early on, he'd get a job pretty quick, I think, because if you're looking for someone
24 hours,
been through the grinder and has proven that they can handle some big name players, and is a players coach, like someone who is he never throws the players under the bus, for instance, in interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't think he'll go through what Woodcroft did, or Tippett never got hired again. I think he'd get a job right away. Anyway, Kurt, let's move on to happier topics. Edmonton dominated, I think, this game. 3-1 win, but they had 3 goalposts in the first, and Spencer Knight was really good in net for Chicago. Those two things combined to keep it close. The grade A shots in the game were 26-9 for Edmonton. With the subset of 5 alarm shots, the most dangerous shots, 12 for Edmonton and 6 for Chicago. So Tristan Jarry had some difficult shots in this game. Not as many, though, as Spencer Knight. Kurt, let's get after it. 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers. What is your good thing?
Well, ever since Leon Draisaitl has been out, you needed to redistribute those 22 minutes a night. But you can't just keep stacking minutes on top of Connor McDavid and Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. It's someone else in that roster has to take those minutes on. And I think you never want to lose Leon Draisaitl. It's always a negative when he's out of the lineup. Let me be clear about that. But some of the silver linings that you're getting out of his absence are guys that are in the bottom 6 are really stepping up and making a difference. And I would argue they've played a disproportionate role in the 5-game winning streak that the Edmonton Oilers are on, including tonight, where I thought the Oilers' 4th line was their best line.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you're going to win most games. Right, when you get that kind of a contribution, when you look at the guys on that 4th line, and I know and it's fair to debate this. There are people who would sooner have Adam Henrique out of the lineup and other people in. As you know, I've never been one of them. I felt understood the value that a guy like Adam Henrique brings this club. Tonight was his best game of the season, and I don't think it was close. Scored a lovely goal on a breakaway, got his own rebound and backhanded it home. His possession stats for the whole 4th line were just out of this world. Like Adam Henrique had a 5-5 CF of 79% tonight, and Szymanski was not far behind him. Szymanski primarily centered that line. And in addition to his strong defensive play, went 78% in the faceoff circle. And Max Jones just keeps giving the Oilers reasons to keep him in the NHL. Led the team in CF tonight at 90%. I just love the low event game that Max Jones plays. He plays the game in straight lines. He's being physical. If there's any risk at all, he takes the safe play. There are different times tonight where I thought he saw an opportunity through the neutral zone, but when he wasn't sure, instead he put it up the wall. And of course, Adam Henrique, because he's such a smart player, it was very effective on the penalty kill again tonight as well. Had 2 shots, had 2 block shots. When you look up and down that bottom 6, you've really got contributions from everybody. And as I said, when that happens, you're going to win most games.
I was a little worried about Trent Frederick's first game back from concussion, because the last time he came back from injury, he was almost a full year. He wasn't the same player. So I was, just wondering if this is a trend in terms of his injuries. Does he take a while? But he came back strong and he had a good game. He battled hard. He made a good pass into the slot from his knee after he got knocked out, and Emerson put it off the post in the first. And I thought he charged the net hard. Man, was he ever taken down, I thought, on a fairly dangerous and dirty play.
It was a horse collar.
Sam Rinzel.
Yeah.
But I have to say, Kurt, with the fourth line, there wasn't a line I wanted to see on the ice more in the third period in this game than that fourth line.
Well
I had
said.
more confidence in them by far than any other line. And the reason is Jones and Henrique are smart players and keep it safe, but Szymanski is it's like you've got Jamie Alexiak at center.
He's a big kid, right?
He's not as big as Alexiak, but he is a big guy. And man, does he play defense? Does he get back and he skates back and he's skating backwards and he's defending and he's breaking up plays in the neutral zone. I can't recall maybe ever. Well, Tikkanen was a pretty good defensive player when he wanted to be on the Oilers, but he is just like, from the first time I've seen him, it just has struck me. This guy has a defensive conscience like no other Oiler on the team this year or in many years. And it's fascinating because it's being rewarded with ice time by the coach. They're recognizing it. But you just wonder why more players don't go that route, because I think this guy, there's a chance he's going to have a pretty significant NHL career if he gets the right coach who appreciates him. There's a huge part of the fan base that has really come around, like really likes this player and wants to see him. He also made a beautiful stretch pass to Jones for a great backhand shot by Jones. And Jones also got a great tip shot.
He did.
I think it was Henrique who fired it on net from the outside.
Yep.
Jones was a very difficult tip, and then Nurse almost put in the rebound. Yeah, that fourth line had it going on. Kurt, my good thing is Paul Coffey. And I advocated, the Oilers their defense got off such a terrible start this year that as early as in early November, I was saying, hey, how about bringing back Paul Coffey? And I don't get everything right, but I think I got that one right.
Yes, you did.
He has made a difference. I have to say, the Oilers' defense did round into form under Mark Stewart. They weren't terrible. They were actually pretty good for a number of months. But there was still some players, even though the overall play of the defense was good, it was kind of pushed up by Bouchard and Ekholm being so outstanding.
Yes.
And the bottom pairing was really leaking goals and grade A shots against. That was mainly Wallman and Stastny for a while. And Nurse was inconsistent and not playing that well. Nurse has been inconsistent all year. He's had 3 really good 10-game segments and 4 bad 10-game segments. So he's been yo-yoing up and down. That's been his season. Anyway, since Coffey took over in his first 10-game segment, the Oilers kind of maintained what they were doing under Stewart. They were pretty good. The defense, even though the overall team wasn't that good in that stretch, the defense was not bad. But they, again, held up by the 2 best players and everyone else was kind of struggling. In the last 6 games, including the Tampa game, this defense has taken off. It is playing outstanding hockey. And tonight was just another example of it. There was some mistakes in the third period. We'll get to that. There was some mistakes throughout the game. Not always on the defense, though. Sometimes on the forwards. Sometimes there was 2 shorthanded break-in chances. So
But when you only allow 18 shots, you're doing something right.
Yeah. correct, Kurt. And the 9 grade A shots, that's a really low total when you're averaging 14 on the year.
Mm-hmm.
So the Murphy Nurse pairing does seem to have some real chemistry. Murphy's smarts as a hockey player. He is a really smart defender. He is usually in the right position. Now there was a couple exceptions, and I will get to one of them. But he's just in the right spot, and he's rugged. And Nurse is playing off him pretty well. They seem to. Nurse is making good decisions. He's rushing the puck when there's a lane, but he's not going in too deep. He's keeping plays alive generally. And Wallman and Emerson have just been great. The third pairing has gone from killing the Oilers to being a real asset for the Oilers. Wallman's attacking game is outstanding right now. And he had one good stretch pass tonight, and he's getting some dangerous shots on net. Emerson's getting dangerous shots on net. Ty Emerson has become a good NHL defenseman in a third pairing role. So now maybe this all would have happened without Paul Coffey. maybe it's just because players are healthy. Like suddenly they're all healthy. Maybe it's just a coincidence that twice Paul Coffey has taken over the Oilers' defense, and there's been a dramatic improvement on almost every single player and the whole team after he's taken over the defense. Could be a coincidence. But Kurt, I don't believe that myself. I think there's something that he does with the players, that he gets them to play better hockey, better positional defensive hockey, and better puck possession hockey on the attack, smarter moving the puck. He just seems to get the message across. And you'd have to know exactly what's going on I'd have to know more. You'd have to talk to all the players and you'd have to have these people open up, which they're not going to do. But just from watching it, it's great. And it's just what the Oilers needed.
Well, I want to comment on all three pairs, but quickly on Paul Coffey. He's just got credibility, like coming out of his ass. Like what NHL defense coach has a better NHL resume than Paul Coffey? None that I can think of that are better. Better.
Ray Bork's not coaching, so
no,
there goes the competition.
Right.
Is Nicholas Lidstrom coaching? No, I don't think he is.
Not last I checked. No. So
Pronder's not coaching.
Yeah, no. Probably could, but isn't, right? So he's got, when you look over your shoulder and Paul Coffey's looking at you, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll listen to you. Like I think there's a thing there, right? On the three pairs, we've come to expect that Bouchard and Ekholm are going to be good, and they were good tonight. I agree with you. The third pair has radically turned around their play. Jake Wallman in 17:04 of 5-on-5 play tonight allowed that many high danger scoring chances against. That's the first time this season, right? Best defensive game he's played all year. The point I want to stop on, though, is how hard matched Paul Coffey set up Darnell Nurse and Connor Murphy against the Bedard line. If you go through the shift report of this game, practically every time Bedard touched the ice, the Nurse-Murphy pairing was on with them. It was a hard match. And at the end of the night, Bedard had a couple of looks, but when you can keep him from scoring, you're beating Chicago. I said last podcast, and I think you were maybe not 100% with me, said this is the Oilers shutdown pairing. And I think this is how they're going to ride in the rodeo, is with these guys as their shutdown pairing. Play them against the other guy's best guys. And while I'm thrilled that Wallman and Emerson are playing as well as they are, they're not playing against the best competition. It's Nurse and Murphy that are. Right? And I thought they were really good in that role tonight.
My only hesitancy and a full endorsement is looking forward to the playoffs, Kurt. And just, I've got a little PTSD about Nurse's crash, yearly annual crash in the playoffs, where he starts trying to do too much. He becomes too reactive and gets pulled out of position, makes the wrong reads, and gets eaten alive. So it's happened 4 years in a row. He's got to, maybe this is the pairing, maybe this is the partner where this won't happen. And it's certainly in long stretches of the regular season, including this regular season, he goes on runs of really good play. He was good tonight. Like
Yes.
he arguably was the Oilers' best defenseman tonight. So like he has good games, but it's just like get it. I will be full. I was on board with Darnell Nurse until all these playoff runs, and slowly that's been torn away. I will be fully back on board. He just needs to have one good playoff season, and I will be fully back on board with Darnell Nurse. But until then, I'm always a little hesitant before I endorse like this is the right idea with Nurse.
Well, I can understand your reticence. I guess it's the court reporter in me would say, friars do not a conviction make.
I do think it's admissible evidence, though.
We could voir dire about this later.
We've both been in court a lot.
Yes, we have.
Sounds like. Kurt, what is your bad thing?
Just the number of good looks that the Oilers as a group did give up tonight. I don't really have many bad things. The Oilers played a really good game, and I thought the score flattered Chicago. Frankly, I thought their goaltender was their best player, like ×4. But there were a couple looks that I wasn't a big fan of, particularly that 2-on-1 that they surrendered, where Mikheyev got the great shot, and Tristan Jarry just stared him down on that one. And there's a case where there were just some mistakes like that where I thought, that didn't need to happen. Yeah, you had a 2-0 lead at that point. That was just a breakdown that didn't need to happen. They are fewer and further between than they've been all season, so I don't mean to be, beaten on a dead horse.
That was Nuge's turnover and then pass across the ice, right?
Yeah, and I just think that those are great topics for video the next day, right? Because they're on a really good run of defensive play, including tonight. But if you can win and then go to school on those mistakes, I think that has a chance to make you demonstrably better.
My bad thing, Kurt, is really similar. It's another one of those plays. So they went into the third period up 2-0, and I'm not thinking any bad thoughts. Like, I'm not that worried. The Oilers have really played well. Mm-hmm. And then they came out and it was like, what? Why? What? It was a terrible play. I'm going to say by 3 players, and 2 of them are forwards and 1's a defenseman. So it was the Nuge, Roslovic and Hyman out there, and with Murphy and Nurse on defense. And they're cycling the puck down low, and then Roslovic hurries a pass, I'm going to say, and turns it over. And he doesn't get it deep. He doesn't make the safe play. And at the same time, Hyman's kind of crept down low, really low. He's the high man on that play. He should be helping out the defense, but he's decided he's going to creep down low. And so if there is a mistake at the blue line, then you can have an odd man rush very easily. If Hyman had been back, there's no problem. Yeah. So I think those 2 players started off this particular sequence of pain. And the puck comes around the boards then, and Murphy goes to make the play on it, and he muffs it. Yeah. And he is just caught totally flat-footed, reaching for the puck in pathetic fashion. And he is a defensive defenseman. He hates himself in that moment. Yeah. He just wishes he could be wiped off the face of the earth. In those next 5 seconds, that's all he's like. He cannot believe he's made that mistake. But he has made a terrible mistake. When you have a 2-0 lead early in the period, he has made the worst mistake a defensive defenseman can make. And he's feeling terrible. Anyway, that's his mistake. I'm a little more sympathetic on defensemen because I pretend to be one when I play hockey.
You pretend to be one.
So I know how he feels, but I know what that feels like. And Anyway, so it's a 3-on-1 then. 3-on-1. And you can argue, like, should Nurse have gone down to block the shot on a 3-on-1? I don't think he should have.
I think
I,
Darnell Nurse did all he could in those circumstances.
he tried, but it was passed around him. I think he might have stayed on his feet, but it's really a 3-on-1 at that point. And the Oilers just got dead lucky that there wasn't a goal against, because the guy he hit the side of the net with the shot. It wasn't even a shot on net. But that play in the offensive zone, that is the kind of play that made the Edmonton Oilers an iffy, going nowhere, useless team for the first 70 games of the year. Instead of being a really good team, they made too many just dumb plays like that. And they will happen now and then to any team, like to all teams. All teams will make such mistakes. Even the best defensive team now and then will do that. But the Oilers aren't that. So that's a play that they should show on video. Early in the third period, 2-goal lead, and what do? You do that. That you can't have that. You can't have that. You got to tell Roslovic, make a safe play with the puck. You got to tell Hyman, be safer in the offensive zone. Stay higher in the off. We don't need the third goal to be nice, but we've got to stop them and we've got to bottle them up. And they didn't do it, and then Murphy didn't do it.
Zach Hyman doesn't look right, and we know he was a game time decision tonight, and he ultimately decided to go. I have no clue whether it's injury or illness. I just don't know.
But like injury to me, the way Jack and
maybe
we were talking about.
Last game he had no shots and no hits. Tonight he had 1 shot and 1 hit, and just doesn't quite look himself. And I've got a boatload of admiration for Zach Hyman. He always shows up and he always works hard, but he hasn't looked like the same Zach Hyman to me the last 2 games.
You know what? They're getting into a spot, Kurt, where I know they might want to battle for first, but the incremental difference of being in first or not, I'm not sure. Like, it might be good to sit them. You've got players who can play now.
Yeah.
Like, you've got a lot of guys who can play hockey.
Well, they've got a 600 winning percentage with Curtis Lazar in the lineup.
Well, that's it. Put Lazar in and have him sit out a few games.
Just give him a break, right?
Rest of the season. Rest up.
Yeah.
He had amped up his physical play, and that takes its toll.
It does.
And he usually saves that for the playoffs. Maybe he should just take some time off and rest.
Even a game, right? Just No, I'm with you at this point in time. Play the long game.
It's not even maybe, should he? He should. His coach should tell him, you're out.
Yeah.
You're out. You're out for the next week.
Yeah. You're in the playoffs now. Even if you don't finish first, you're in. Yeah. Like no one's catching them now.
We're not doing this to finish first. It's not, and frankly, the way you're playing, like, you're still good, but we've got a lot of players who want some, like, who need to get in. Frederick needs to get in. Lazar was out. Just relax, buddy, and get healthy, because that's what we need. So, yeah, it shouldn't be a choice. It should be an order.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're sure agreeing a lot tonight.
We're in an agreeable mood.
I guess so. When you win 5 in a row, that happens.
Yeah, that's right. Your number, Kurt.
51. It had been 51 games since Adam Henrique lit the lamp.
Hence the large number of people who are wondering why he's necessarily in the line. Now we're in this small faction on Team Henrique, where we both see his value. Mm-hmm. If it came down to it, would I rather have Szymanski or Henrique in the lineup? I would pick Szymanski. Personally, at this point, I think your team is more likely to win. But Henrique he's a really good penalty killer. He's good on face-offs, and he's a good winger. He's a good fourth-line player.
And he has a resume of being a good offensive player. You don't lose that. What he's lost is his wheels. He hasn't lost his hands.
Those days are gone, the offensive player thing, I'm going to suggest.
Well, no, the statistics have, but I disagree with you there. That's that touch you never lose. You lose your reel, sure, and everybody can see he's lost a step and probably 2. But you don't lose your hands. That unless you have a serious hand injury, that's one of the last things to go.
Oh, I'm not saying he's lost his hands. I'm just saying he's lost his offensive game. Like, he can't get to the spots he needs to get to consistently to have
That
those hands do their
that
thing.
specific part I agree with. All I'm saying is that in itself doesn't make up your offensive game.
Yeah.
I knew we'd find something to disagree about.
Yeah, he's. I don't mind him on the fourth because of all the different little categories he brings. I'm okay with him on the fourth line, but any suggestion he should be like third line center, or on the third line at all. It shouldn't happen.
Well, certainly not third line center, at least. I can see circumstances where he's all right on the wing on the third line, but I tend to be with you. He's a fourth line player at this point in his career, and a solid one. As for choosing between him and Josh Szymanski, I love Szymanski a lot, but if it's a playoff game, I'm picking Adam Henrique.
What Henrique will bring in the playoffs, and we don't know this about Szymanski yet, right? Is we know Henrique will get physical. He's one of those guys who amps up his physical plays, and he can be nasty. He can be rough.
Yeah.
And he could be like a dirty, rotten old guy out there, scoundrel. What was that line that Dallas had in the, with Scrudland on it? Like there's all these old, I think Verbeek was on it, like these nasty old guys, all on their fourth line or third line.
Did they call them the angry old men? Is that
something
what they
like that?
Might have been, yeah.
And Henry can do that. Like he can fulfill that, and that can be huge for a team in the playoffs. So
for sure,
yeah. All right, Kurt. My number. It took them a 5-game winning streak to do it, Kurt. But my number is 1. The Oilers are now 1 game above real 500. 39 wins, and. Well, I guess it's 39 wins in 76 games. So they've got 37 losses. So I guess that's 2 games. They could lose 2 and they could still be 500. So they're 2 games above. I guess my number's 2. Should have done my math a little better there. I'm glad the number's 2.
You can pick 2
numbers. If
numbers.
You're a serious team. You just can't be like below 500 sneaking into the playoffs like the Kings.
Yep.
You've got like a serious cup contender, a real cup contender wins some games in the regular season, and they don't have to win all their games. They just got to make the playoffs. But you should get, let's say, 42 wins, 41 wins at least in the season. And the Oilers are headed in that direction now. And it's great to see. They have turned it around at the last moment here. They're getting solid goaltending. They're playing a fantastic smothering game of keep away, puck possession game. Their defensive pairings are coming together. Everything's coming. Their lines are coming together.
Yep.
And they're doing this all, Kurt, without Leon Draisaitl.
Mm-hmm.
When Draisaitl gets better, he's on that second line. And I don't know who's going to get bumped down to the third line, but like a third line of Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, and Draisaitl isn't a bad third line, or Hyman, Roslovic, and Draisaitl is not a bad second line, I'm going to suggest.
I agree. Or does Leon Draisaitl play left wing for Connor McDavid?
Yeah, and that will depend on his state
health.
Of his injury.
Right. You mentioned the Kings. They are losing to Nashville 4-3 late in the second period as we record this podcast tonight.
Yeah.
And San Jose already beat the Leafs 4-1. So
I wonder if the Kings will be there. There's lots of teams. Like there's 3 teams right behind them: Winnipeg, Nashville, and San Jose. They're all coming hard.
Well, Winnipeg lost 3-0 to Dallas tonight. The Golden Knights and Flames are tied at 3, just starting the third period. So
that's interesting. I like the Golden Knights with Tortorella.
Well, I think Anaheim and Edmonton are the only 2 fast teams in the Pacific.
Well, San Jose's pretty fast.
When you look at their underlying numbers, they're not on the same level as the Oilers in Anaheim.
Yeah, I don't think they're on the same level, but they got some guys who can wheel. Like some of those young guys can skate.
Some of them do, but top to bottom, it's like Anaheim and Edmonton would be a fun series because both those teams can really get after it. I think Edmonton would win because I think Anaheim's just going to make too many mistakes that they can't score themselves out of. But we'll see. It's going to be a really interesting run to the end, isn't it, David? Because it's hard to predict today how the teams would line up in the playoffs because there's such a logjam at that wild card cutoff.
I think Edmonton's got to start to think about getting healthy for the playoffs from this day forward. And it should start with anyone who's obviously hurt or dinged up they should start thinking, okay, you're going to take a little break here. The Oilers have 87 points. The Kings, who have the last playoff spot, have 78. This is a healthy cushion. That's a 9-point cushion, and there's good depth on the Oilers. So I'd say it's time to really get after that and with load management.
Here's an interesting one for you. Matthias Ekholm played 13:47 tonight.
Well, that's good. I like so that's the kind of thing you like to see, right? Now, hopefully he's not hurt doing that.
No, Bouchard only played 23 minutes, and he had power play time, right? So he had 3 power plays. So
did they give Wallman extra shifts then?
Yeah,
strength?
yeah. Both Wallman and Emberson played more, but it was, keep in mind, because Bedard plays so much, and there was such a hard match between Murphy and Nurse. Those guys were the top 5-on-5 minute munchers tonight. So
Wallman played 17-16, and Emberson played 16:03, so just a minute last.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Ekholm's another guy. Like you don't need to sit him down, give him some games off here.
Yeah,
and play Spencer Stastny again. He's got to play. He is the next guy up, isn't he?
He is, for sure.
Yeah.
Certainly on the left side. I mean,
call up another defenseman from the minors who is then the 8th defenseman who might get in the playoffs, whoever that is. Like if it's Regula, call him up. If it's someone else, call that player up. Start to do that. That's what I think the Oilers should do. I think that would be smart.
Well, they are finally in a place where you can think about doing that, right?
Yes.
For the first time, I do agree with that. So and tonight with Ekholm, if you're managing his minutes, that's really smart. And we already had the conversation about
Hyman.
About Zach Hyman. I've made this point before when people were arguing about, oh no, they should keep their powder dry and wait another year, and I said, no, you shouldn't. There are key players on this roster that are getting older, meaningfully older. If you this window is now, and you see guys like Zach Hyman and Matthias Ekholm. Like, these guys are only going to be top tier players for another year or two, David. It's just father time, right? It's amazing how good of a season Matthias Ekholm is having, considering how rare it is for someone of his age to play this much, this well. And so, yeah, I'm with you. Manage these guys so that there's something in the tank when you get to the playoffs.
I completely agree with you, Kurt. Like, it's a tough season to win. They've been with the flat cap that only went up this year, and they needed to do all they could. They needed to go all in this year, and I think Bowman did. I think Stan Bowman, he made a really controversial trade, which has turned out to be a super controversial trade for Tristan Jarry. But along the way, he's found a way to pick up Jack Roslovic, Connor Murphy, and Jason Dickinson. That's not bad work when you are so pressed up against the cap and you don't have a lot going on. And they've integrated players, like they've integrated Szymanski into the team.
Yeah.
And Max Jones is now part of this team. So I think this year has been a total pressure cooker. I've said this before. Constant churn of players. If you're not getting it done, you're out. This has been a ruthless team. Everyone talks about Vegas being ruthless. The Oilers were ruthless this year, Kurt. If you were a mediocre player on the Oilers, you were gone right away, as quickly as they could get rid of you. You started to be benched. There was a pretty short leash on players like Mangiapane and Frederick. They moved them out. So
yeah, people tend to forget that, but I thought for the most part they were appropriately aggressive with a lot of those guys. Look, if you cast your mind back, David, to game 1 of the regular season, and let's say that we're at that point and I say, David, by the time the Oilers are playing their best hockey of the season, Max Jones and Josh Szymanski will be taking regular shifts. And you'd look at me as if I had a hole in my head and said, you're crazy, Kurt. There's no way that's going to happen. Here we are.
Well, I always thought, like, I've been reading about Szymanski.
Yeah, but let's be honest. You know,
I thought he might. I thought,
right?
Now, Jones, I agree with you on Kurt.
To your credit, you're the guy who is a fan of Szymanski, but no one guessed that he'd be here right now. Like, that's another tick in the box for Stan.
I thought it would be Philp who might step up. Like, if I was thinking who's going to be the fourth line center who might step up and get the job done, I thought that would have been my first pick for sure.
Yeah.
So no, and I think the ruthlessness has been appropriate and proper for a team with McDavid. It's not just Ekholm and Hyman, right? It's McDavid is 29 and Draisaitl's 30 or something like that. And
Nugent Hopkins, right?
And Nugent Hopkins. It's the time to win is now. It is now, and they're shaping up. They're going to be a scary team. I'm sizing up all these other teams, and I'm worried a little bit. But just think if you're sizing up the Oilers right now, and again, the best news of the Oilers has been the incredible internal development of their young veterans: Savoy, Podkolzin,
Emberson,
Bouchard, Emberson, Kapanen, Szymanski. Like this, Connor Ingram, even like this has been. To some degree unexpected, but man, is it welcome, because it's exactly what the Oilers needed if they were going to be a serious team this year. They needed a couple players to really step up big time, and that has happened.
Well, you and I agreed at the start of the season that if this team was going to have a chance, one or the other of Savoy or Howard would have to break through.
Yeah.
And neither one of us, I don't think either one of us knew which one that would be. Ultimately, It's been Matt Savoy.
Yeah.
Right?
People who watch Howard in the AHL are really impressed with the 200-foot game he's been playing lately. So good for him.
That's good. That's what he needs to do, right?
Maybe next. It is exactly what he needs to do, because in the NHL he was playing okay, but he's got to get more into the guts of the game if he's going to make it. He's got to get in there, forecheck a lot more ferociously, for instance.
Yeah, he has to be more like Zach Hyman and less like Nail Yakupov.
Yeah. He's got to be like Matt Savoy. That's who you should be watching and think, that's who I'm going to play like. I'm going to get in there fast and hard.
Because he has skill that you can't teach, right? So if you can pull your 200-foot game together, that's really enticing. So
maybe he will. It happened for some players this year. So
sure.
Kurt, let's leave it there. Thank you for talking tonight.
It was fun, especially when you're ending the night in first place.
And thanks to the smartest, wisest, sanest hockey fans in the world, the faithful. And in the meantime, and in between time, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.